Welcome to Caution to the Wind, episode number 2. We're here at the Acceleration Media Studios in Olive Branch, Mississippi. Ben Shelton, joined by Chris Douglas. And Chris, it's time for another hour of mayhem, hurting feelings, making people mad at our opinions, and having a good time.
It's hard to believe people will tune in to watch this, but you tell me that you're ready to lay it out there. You're gonna be bold today, so I'm gonna hold you to it. I'm excited. We got a lot of stuff to talk about.
Yeah, we're going to talk about a lot of things: the Chili Bowl, the Wild West Shootout, AMA Supercross. Of course, your questions. We're going to give away a prize pack for the best question of the day. We had a really good one last time. I think it had something to do with the Pennsylvania Posse, which got me off on a total tangent. But yeah, we encourage your questions today. Again, we're here at the Acceleration Media Studios in Olive Branch, Mississippi, just south of Memphis. And this is a show that we tested back in November, and it got such good ratings that we did what anybody would do. We actually didn't have one in December, but that was because we were really busy with races, the Gateway Dirt Nationals. We're going to talk about that, some other things. But
PRI trade show, right? We did
right.
PRI. We saw a lot of our viewers there, so it was really good feedback, and we got a lot to cover.
We do. So again, this show, there's no set length, there's no set format. This show is about the viewers. We've got some things we want to talk about, but majorly, we want to know what you want to talk about. So we're going to cover a lot of ground. As we said before, this is like an enduro. We don't stop unless somebody's upside down or on fire, and then we've really got to like you to even stop at that point. So I guess without further ado, let's jump into this thing. And first thing I want to note out is we've kind of moved up in the world. We're like the Jeffersons. We got a different set than we had the first time. We got the classy TV behind us with the OneDirt logo. We got magazines on the table. These are actually, I think, the last 3 that remain because the magazines went so quick from the fall run of OneDirt magazines. No. We're sitting down this time, and look at this. We got iPads. How about those iPads?
Nice pleather chairs.
Pleather,
so
yes.
We've really stepped up, and I've been telling everybody this is kind of like the pro and the amateur hour, and I'll let you guys figure out which one, but I think he's definitely the pro.
Well, that's saying a lot. Well, we've got these. Again, we're going to monitor your questions. We're going to ask throughout the show, so make sure to put those in. We'll be hitting refresh. First things first, let's talk about the Chili Bowl, Chris. Of course, what I think may be one of the coolest events in dirt track racing. It went down last week in Tulsa. 365 drivers, record turnout. And first, let's talk about that. 365 drivers, one division.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. For the rest of the year, I mean, they pull them out of the woodwork. People racing there that I don't think ever set in a midget for that weekend. That's part of the amazing storyline. You know, that event happens at a time of year to where it captivates the attention of the whole racing community, whether you're drag racing or dirt racing. So it's got a unique vibe. It's a cool building. You've got a building that's 11 acres without a center support, and you jam-pack all these people in there. Just a cool atmosphere.
Well, it's a really cool atmosphere. And again, 365 drivers from every division imaginable. That's the cool thing. You got drag racers, you got mod guys, late model guys, big block guys. Larry White was showing them how it was done last week, and he looked awfully good, the big block racer. And then, of course, the sprint car and midget guys. And Christopher Bell takes the win. First guy in 23 years from Oklahoma to take the win since Andy Hillenberg. Before we get into Christopher Bell, let's talk about that. That's a blast from the past. Andy Hillenberg, of course, there were 2 of them, if you haven't forgotten. To me, that blows my mind still that in the world of outlaw sprint cars, you had 2 guys named Andy Hillenberg, and they both were running the tour. But this was not the end of Andy Hillenberg. Went on to ARCA, did some driving schools. This was the Oklahoma. Christopher Bell replaces him as the most recent Oklahoma winner.
Yeah, I mean, what a cool for the home crowd to see kind of a local guy win that. And you had several Oklahoma guys up there vying for the win, so that was a really cool part of this year's event. You know, beyond that, and let me ask you a question. Who surprised you most as far as entries that showed up out of the Chili Bowl that you didn't expect to see?
You know what? I'm going to stay media. Call me a homer. I'm going to give my boy Ross Weiss a shout out because Ross was offered up a ride. He didn't want to do it. We kind of guilted him into it. I think we all stayed on him, but I don't think anybody really thought he would do it. And he did something I wouldn't have the guts to do. He got in that car. He got upside down. Let's go ahead and he got upside down, but he went out there and did it. And you know what, Ross? You got mad respect for me because I would love to do something like that. No way I have the guts to do it, though. That's got to be the most random entry. And Chris, it was really good for our sport because so many people were following this guy that's a photographer, a great videographer, and he gets in a midget for the first time ever. And by the way, the biggest midget race of the year.
Yeah, and I followed along with his story. I'm a perfect example of that. I didn't know Ross, but I kind of picked up on the story, and I'm not sure what his background is. Do you know, has he been in a race car much at all?
0.0.
So 0. The guy showed up.
I think he's an R-Factor wizard. And as you know, video games are just like getting in a race car.
Of course, yeah, at the biggest race of the year.
But he got in there, he did it, and it's funny because Mike Hess, good buddy of his, I believe the competition director for the World of Outlaw Sprint Cars, he ended up in his group. At one point, Christopher Bell, his best friend, one of his best friends, was in his group, so it was really fun to watch that. And he got upside down, but you know what? They blew a motor in practice. Yeah. They put it in because his right foot was too heavy. He'd already stomped a hole in it. And then they put a new motor in. He comes back out. He gets upside down. Doesn't give up, though. And mad props for Ross Weiss. I thought that was really cool. All right, so let's go to one of our first questions before I really start taking off-the-wall stuff. I had this argument with my good buddy, Tim Truex. Of course, you know Tim from Loud Pedal. And the thing I got to say about Tim, he wasn't at the Chili Bowl. Timo was out there in Arizona with us doing the Wild West Shootout. We argued, most prestigious race, is it the Chili Bowl or the Knoxville Nationals? I'm going to throw Tim under the bus because I think it's been debated who was picking what there, because I put it on Facebook. How do you go against the Knoxville Nationals? It's been going for like 57 years now. It's $150,000 to win. I said Knoxville. Chris Douglas, what do you say?
I'm going to say Chili Bowl for this reason. The timing and the time of year it happens, because all the eyes of the country are watching that event. Knoxville certainly is special, and it's got a lot of allure that goes along with that. But the Chili Bowl also has branched out beyond sprint car racing, beyond midget racing. You've got all, as we just discussed. And by the way, one final footnote on Ross Weiss. The guy was standing in the infield in his driver's suit, shooting pictures and video.
I mean, if that's not badass, Jonathan Ertz on the throat. Yes, I did get my shoes and a Happy Meal. I know I got my Under Armour red shoes.
Great.
Didn't know the shoes were going to show up. They threw a thing at me. I can't help it if these guys can't set something up. I say Knoxville Nationals, and I just say the history and the Chili Bowl. I think is amazing. Don't get me wrong. I think it's right there with it. But I like the Knoxville Nationals. People go, well, you don't have people from all these different divisions at the Knoxville Nationals. That's right, you don't. There's a reason for that. That is a very, 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 they're both tough races to win.
I mean, I respect your opinion. I just think you're wrong.
Well, that's fine. I mean, I want to also thank everybody, unless you're double screening us for watching us instead of Obama's final speech. We want to thank you for tuning in today. I understand that he's making his final speeches. He could be pardoning us right now.
I was going to say, we're here and we're vying for a pardon as well. So get on the list.
Well, Billy Carroll wanted to know if you can run to Chili's and get me a booster seat. Uncle Fester, we thank you for tuning in today, and we're glad that you're alive to see another day. I don't need a booster seat. We're the same height.
Billy's got great comedy.
One of the most surprising announcements I've seen so far this season, the URC Sprints having a wingless division in 2017. Not much wingless action in Central PA. Jeff Wentworth, that's a great point. Right to the Chili Bowl point, we're talking about wingless. It really does amaze me. USAC went back last year to Pennsylvania for the first time in several years, and it went over huge. I think it's kind of exciting. Our local track, Riverside Speedway, over in West Memphis, Arkansas, their 305 sprint car division, it was wingless when it first, it started winged, then it went wingless, and now it's back winged. I liked it wingless because it gave it identity. I also understand there's a lot of kids in that division that's their beginner from go-karts. They're 13, 14-year-old kids. It's a little bit more dangerous wingless, so they put the wings back on them. Man, I'm excited when you think about PA racing with wingless cars.
I like taking the wings off. You can see the drivers. You can see them working. I think they have to drive the cars more. You put the big wing on there, all the downforce, and it makes it easier to drive. So.
No, it does. And, again, you learn car control. It's kind of like in late models. You put a giant spoiler on the back of them, and you put that guy back on an 8-inch spoiler. And a lot of times, self-admittedly, some of the best, they say they're out to lunch on that.
They normally only put those 8-inch spoilers on crate engines. They always give them the benefit.
Monty Torper, you asked, I caught that. Monty Torper, you asked why the Wild West Shootout did not get run on Monday. I'm going to talk about that later. You're probably not going to like my answer. That's all. That's coming up a little bit later. We're going to address a lot of Wild West Shootout questions. Feel free to keep them coming, but that is going to come a little bit later. Adam David, fantastic coverage of the Gateway Dirt Nationals. Thank you very much. It was both the most exciting and exhausting thing of my entire life, especially that first Thursday night as we worked out the bugs and we were there late. But Gateway, Chris, you came up, you saw a night of it. Amazing event. Who knows, this week there could be a big announcement on this year's edition of it. That's about all I can say on that. Hint, but it could be before Friday has come and gone. You may have information on this year's event. But Chris, we all had low expectations going into the Gateway Dirt Nationals because we knew it was such an undertaking. I think Cody Summer and his staff, did they do perfect? No, but by what I expected, I thought they knocked it out of the park.
Knocked it out of the park. I mean, that has all the makings of becoming a Chili Bowl type event for dirt late models. The eyes of the racing world were directly on Gateway. despite bad weather condition outside, they put a great crowd in there. It had a big event feel. The driver intros, I mean, Scott Bloomquist, what else can you say? The guy absolutely, that was one of the more memorable moments in dirt late model racing.
I mean, the crotch chop 2.0, who dreamed that he was going to break it back out there? And I think if Cody Noni was going to do that, he'd probably give him $10,000 to do that because the place went nuts. We went nuts up in the press box. I mean,
I'm expecting a crotch chop today before we sign off.
Well, there might be people crotch chopping at me, so I don't know if that's a good thing. But yeah, we do appreciate that. So hopefully information coming out this week on the Gateway Dirt Nationals. If not, definitely by next week. But I think you're probably going to be hearing something this week as details being finalized. I can tell you there is going to be a take 2 on that event, and things are being changed to make it better for both the racers and the fans. And we'll see how it goes, but it was really surreal. When I got there Tuesday, I'm not going to lie to you, I've been home from PRI, grand total of a day and a half. Get home, I got to leave Tuesday morning. It's only 5 hours up there from Memphis. I drive up, kind of in a bad mood.
This is where he starts whining.
This is where I start whining. I'm kind of in a bad mood. I'm like, God, I don't want to be leaving yet. I get there, and one, you park, and if you live in Memphis or you live in any big city, I'm going to use Memphis as an example. Imagine going down Riverside Drive to Bill Street, you hang a right onto Bill Street, and you park across from the Orpheum, and then you walk to FedEx Forum and watch a dirt track race. That's what it's like. Because when you're pulling into town, you're like, there's no way they're going to get these haulers in anything down here. These streets are tight. There's no way. But when I walked in there, and the haulers weren't there yet, but you see the dirt track inside there, and you're looking around, there's 60,000 seats, and you're like, holy crap. This could be something really cool. We had the test there on Tuesday night with Kenny Wallace and Gordy Gundaker, and you start thinking, this could work. And then it just got better and better. And Friday night, let's be honest, could you ask for any more? Was it the greatest race ever? No. Was it the greatest race of the year? No. Was it really freaking entertaining in an amazing setting? Absolutely.
I think it was one of the best races that I personally watched all year long.
Well, you watch a lot of NASCAR, so of course you say that.
There's that. But, I don't often give you credit, but I'm going to give you a little credit here. You guys managed to stay on there for like 12 hours straight. And I don't know how anyone talks for 12 hours straight. So a little bit of credit. Be the last time today I give you any credit. But hats off to you guys and the broadcast.
Well, and it was quite the challenge, but it was a ton of fun. We had an amazing time with it. Dustin Jarrett, myself, Trent Berry, Blake Anderson, and it wasn't a large deed because there was going to be track prep, there was going to be fume breaks, there were things that were going to happen, but it was incredible. And then Thursday night kind of had us down a little bit. Not going to lie to you because we were there late, a lot of unforeseen things. We came back Friday. And after that second heat race, I was like, hey, we can end the weekend right now. I'm happy. And it was great racing top to bottom. Saturday wasn't exactly what they'd hoped for. Still not a bad show, but they learned a lot of things. We'll see how to go next year. I can tell you this, Kevin Gundaker has told me they can possibly make that track a little bit bigger. They found some things, not a ton, but a little bit wider. So anyway, that's kind of your insider information on the Gateway Dirt Nationals.
A lot of details that went into that race that really have never factored into a dirt race, even down to the logistics of the driver intros and everything. Yeah. That's all new. So I'm excited to see what year 2 holds. Cody Summers, the whole team, the broadcast team there did a great job. Bigger and better things ahead. Well,
we're going to talk about it more, but you do some AMA stuff, and this was kind of like AMA meets dirt track racing. You said for a long time that the Monster AMA Supercross, that they do a better job than anybody with their presentation and entertaining the fans.
And I think they do. They really understand the entertainment business, and in particular how to appeal to a younger demographic. This event, Gateway, had a lot of those elements, so I think great things are ahead for that, and it's going to skew towards a younger crowd. So speaking of AMA, I think we're going to touch on that a little bit later, and there's a lot of excitement going on there for those that follow that in the off season.
No, it absolutely is. Good questions coming in. Jamie Qualls asking about 410 sprints at Gateway. Buddy, I'm going to be honest. I think they're going to have to they'd have to have a totally different catch fence system, a lot of things to make that work. Don't rule anything out when Cody Summers involved, but it's going to be tough to get 410 sprint cars on that track, or even midgets, because that fence is going to be a lot higher, a lot of things done. But again, with Kevin and Kevin Gundaker and Cody Summer behind it, anything is possible. So we'll see how it goes. Chili Bowl, fantastic race this year, great turnout. Kudos to Christopher Bell on getting the win. Another Okie in second. How about Darren Pittman, the World of Outlaw guy? He comes home second, and I thought for a little bit he was going to win that race.
Yeah, he looked really good, and it was good to see. He's one of the nice guys. You like to see Darren do really well. So pretty exciting race. There were some glitches along the way. The program ran a little late. That happens sometimes. And who are we to sit back and complain when we're warm in our house in the middle of winter watching a killer race?
It really is. Well, again, that was the Chili Bowl, touched on Gateway. Somebody asked about payouts on the Gateway Dirt Nationals. I can tell you this, there's some things they're looking at doing a little bit different, but the one thing to keep in mind, there's not many dirt track races that start the weekend with a $500,000 to $600,000 overhead. Again, it was a learning experience. He's going to do what he can, but we got to remember, this race is as much a novelty as it is anything. Let's not forget the Chili Bowl had 365 entries. The winner just got $10,000, and a lot of those teams, yeah, they only run one preliminary night, but they're over 5 days. When you're indoor racing, it's a different animal. You got to keep that in mind. This isn't an outside track where your overhead is your insurance, your track staff, and your purse.
Well, and I think you're being nice. I'm going to take the racer's viewpoint because I've been one. A racer's always going to complain about the payouts. That's their job, so to speak. They're always looking at it from the economics. I get that, but sometimes you just got to suck it up and be glad you got a place to race in front of that kind of crowd, that kind of atmosphere. At the end of the day, the promoter and the racer, they have to be partners on this deal. And there's going to be some give and take. You're going to give up some purse to be able to go run in front of that kind of crowd.
And just the cleanup on this, you just can't imagine the cost on that. If you were there, you probably can't imagine the cost. But it was a very large undertaking, a lot to do. And was it profitable? Yes, the event was profitable. Was it a ton of money? No, it was not. And but he's keeping digging. That's the kind of guy Cody is. Very excited. I think it's only going to grow. Let's not forget, a lot of people couldn't even get there Friday night because an unexpected freezing rain storm popped up. It shut down. There was a lot of people from Memphis that got to Peevely, about 20 miles south. That's as far as they got. And then Saturday, it wasn't much better. It snowed. It got, by the time the races were over, it was down to like 17 degrees. Hey, it's racing in December, though, so it's kind of what you get.
And if you want to know how difficult that event was to pull off, just look at Cody Summers. If you look at him, I think the guy lost like 20 pounds in a few weeks leading up to it. The stress along with that, you're on the big stage, you got to make it work. He did a wonderful job.
He actually looked like he could have been a character on The Walking Dead by the time it was over and didn't need any makeup. He did. He's not a big guy, he lost 20 pounds. Let's move on and let's talk about the Wild West Shootout. And new venue this year. Obviously, the big question, let's talk about the bonus and all that. I'm saving that one for a little bit later in the show because I've got some things I want to lay out there on that. New venue, you never know what to expect. We hated to leave Tucson. Obviously, Tucson, fantastic venue. We moved to Arizona Speedway. Jonah Tressler and his staff over there. And to tell you what, racetrack, I'm going to tell you one thing I was bad wrong about. We went and looked at this racetrack last year and we felt like we were going to have to move venues and we evaluated it. And I said, well, the good thing is this thing's a little bit smaller, a little bit tighter. It's not going to be as hard, it's not going to be as fast. I don't even know hard on equipment's a thing because a lot of teams told me it really wasn't any harder on motors. But my God, was this thing fast. I mean, and I tell you, you walk in the parking lot and you walk in the pits and what's there is not what's on that racetrack. You got sandy clay out in the parking lot in the pits. It soaks up water. What is on that track, it reminds me of the river mud from Memphis. It is the closest thing to gumbo I think I've ever seen. Once you get past, say, Missouri, Nebraska, somewhere in that area, you just don't see that type of dirt in Knoxville. And this thing, Chris, it was ungodly fast. I mean, it produced really exciting racing, but I was wrong. I never dreamed it would be that fast. And I knew it was going to be fast after the first night Bobby Pierce won a heat race. 8-lap heat race, he pulls up to talk with Dustin Jarrett, and he is huffing and puffing like there's no tomorrow. And when he did that, I said, man, that dude's one of the most in-shape guys in the sport.
He's been racing all winter,
yes.
So it's not like he's out of shape.
Very physical racetrack, but I know you watched some on TV, but it was a very aggressive racetrack, and it was the kind of place I like because growing up on the bull rings around here.
Yeah, I thought it produced pretty good racing. I didn't watch every night, every event, all 4 of them, but I know the ones that I watched, especially some of the heat races, tremendous back and forth. Yes. I think there was one that with Brandon Overton and Bobby and someone else dicing it up. So some really good racing, fast, hammer down early in the evening, and even later it produced pretty good racing. So I thought the action was great. Tucson never struck me as amazing racing anyway, so I don't think you've lost anything there. I think it's a trade that produces pretty good racing.
Well, I'll be honest, and I love Tucson. I thought it was a great facility, and things didn't work out there. It so happens sometimes, but moving out there, the things we were worried about were none of the problems that arose. Yeah. We were worried about where the cars come the first year. Well, I think we had over 60 USRA modifieds enter at least one event. We had over 50 of the X mods. We had over 50 super late models. Cars weren't the problem. We heard the crowds could be good out there. Well, the crowds be good. The crowd opening night, I think, was bigger than the biggest Wild West Shootout crowd ever in the 10-plus year history. Then probably going back to Ernie Mincy's early thaw days. That was dismissed. Could the racetrack race well? We struggled on Saturday night, no two ways about it. The top was fast all week. The top was good. But that Sunday show and the Wednesday show were fantastic. In fact, Moyer ends up winning a show on the bottom in the middle on Wednesday. So we found a way. It was really entertaining. Being in Phoenix, I don't know, I guess it's just a different demographic as far as race fans, but it was amazing to support. I knew we were going to be big when I rolled into town on Thursday. There's already 40 campers on the track the day before practice starts, and we ended up with about 70 to 80 campers. So the support was amazing, thanks to the fans, thanks to the racers. A lot of things that we learned. The dates for next year, for next year, I gotta get my dates right. The dates for next year have already been announced. Those are locked in. It's going to happen. There's some different things coming, and I'm going to talk about the bonus and all that a little bit later in my soapbox period.
You know what I learned? It rains in the desert.
I learned that 30% in the desert is as good as 110% in Memphis, Tennessee. I never
was going to put it on record. I think you're the jinx, because the last couple of events you've been to, we had ice at Gateway. Yeah. Thankfully there was a dome overhead, and now rain in the desert. So, if you're experiencing a drought or anything, this guy.
I'm your boy if you're having issues with that. So, we're going to talk about the bonus. We're going to talk about why races weren't rescheduled. And we're going to talk about the facts that I'm afraid that when we get to the soapbox diaries a little bit later, my point of never let the facts get in the way of a good story, it's going to be kind of the point.
I can't wait to see the little angry faces.
There's going to be a lot of angry faces. But I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to be blatantly honest. We're going to get to that a little bit later. Chris, as we talk about AMA Supercross, they kicked off their season, and I know you're big. I love AMA. It never works out to go. If you ever get a chance to go see these guys, they're certified insane. You think a midget or a sprint car guy's insane? They don't have jack on these guys. Talk about that AMA opener.
Yeah, so we're going into round 3 this weekend. There's been 2, Anaheim 1, San Diego. I enjoy watching during the off season. It's something that I never really grew up around, but I've kind of learned to appreciate it. Ryan Dungey, Ken Roczen, and it's really been the Ken Roczen show this year. And for those that don't know, he's a German native. He switched from KTM. He's now on Honda. I just appreciate the racing. Those guys go hard. They have to be in great shape. They run, pretty lengthy races. So I appreciate all aspects of that sport. I don't want my son racing those because they get hurt constantly. And that's really the big thing when it comes to the Supercross, as I've watched it a few years. Can they last for the full season without him being injured?
But you're talking about a sport where at 25 you're past your prime.
Yeah.
You pretty much move on to off-road trucks or something.
That's what normally happens. They go and venture into other forms of motorsports. But I appreciate Ryan Dungey. Again, we've talked about Ken Roczen. There's a lot of those guys that on any given night they can win. If you've never tuned in, I would highly recommend catching a race through the wintertime. It's a great way to pass the winter blues while we're waiting on Volusia and all the Speed Week stuff.
No, it really is. And as you said, it's total entertainment. Even if you're not a motorcycle guy, motocross, anything, even if you're not even a racing person, you go to their events, you're going to be entertained. It's amazing from start to finish. One, they run a tight show. They're not going to drag it out. But second thing, you're going to be entertained while they're on the track and while they're not.
Yeah, and that's just it. It's entertainment. They realize they are in the entertainment business with some racing mixed in. I love the fact you mentioned the tight show. They really do run a pretty tight program. It's built to bring your kids out and to have a nice evening. The kids get all juiced up on Monster Energy drinks, so that's a good time right there.
No, it really is. They do a good job. And, talking about running a tight show, it's things that we've talked about in racing before, and I feel like that's something we can learn from, especially with our TV events. Sometimes the TV events get stretched out, and you've got to try to keep people entertained the whole time they're watching.
And, not to go back to the Chili Bowl, but if I have a critique, a constructive bit of criticism, run that program tighter. It stretched out this year. There was a lot of dead time before the A-Main. There were some stories that could have been explored. The whole Dave Garland, Sammy Swindell. That was a powder keg waiting to explode.
That's an 8-second delay waiting to happen right there.
Exactly. So if I have some feedback for that event, it would be to run a tighter show. Our sport in general needs to pay attention to that.
Yeah, I would have loved to have seen you. I think it was a D to the A-Main run, and I think Tanner Thorson did the same thing. They did talk to him, but put a camera in T-Mez's face. You never know what Thomas Meserol is going to say. Go ask him. He came from the D to the main. But I tell you what, my buddy Dave Argabright, he had some great insight. Loved Dave's tribute to Brian Clausen. It was a lot of good things, but I agree. Sitting there watching that, we got rained out, out in Phoenix, and we made it back to the house in time to watch. And that was the only thing. I feel like sometimes if you've got enough time to go back and show complete features from the previous couple of years, a diehard fan like us is going to stay tuned in. If you're somebody just tuning over because you've heard of Rico Abreu or you've heard of whatever, how long are you going to stick with it?
I think the truth is they had set the program up to give some dead time for people to go watch the Wild West Shootout. And then
That's
when
what
you
it
guys
was.
rained out, it screwed everything up.
Well, Kirsten Stone has a question asking about, will Josh Richards race at Volusia? Josh will race at Volusia if he is in somebody else's car. That best team, as far as I know, still suspended, cannot run World Racing Group or World Outlaws events. So to answer that, I would say Josh could, but he might jump in, one of the Rocket House cars, teammate to Brandon Shepherd this year. He could jump in there and go, but he will not be there in the best motorsports entry unless something changes between now and then. That's the best answer I have to that. And again, we'll continue to watch how that goes. That lawsuit was pulled out of court, but I understand that it's very well could be refiled soon. So we'll see if that happens or not. But boy, it's hard to imagine Chris going up on another Dirt Late Model Dream or World 100, and there's no Bloomquist and there's no Owens. Brandon Shepherd pulled out. That's why he can run those. He pulled out of the deal. No Greg Satterley. No Ricky Thornton Jr., who, by the way, has got a new ride as of yesterday. Ricky,
exactly right.
And going back to the Wild West Shootout, RC went well with Gressel Racing. Things didn't go the way they hoped. Ricky Thornton Jr., he was great in the modified, great in X mod, had bad luck in the late model. That thing's on the way back to Louisiana to be clipped right now, but he don't know if he's going to be driving that one again because now he's in the Gressel Racing seat. So one Arizona driver for another in the Gressel Racing entries. What do you think, Chris?
Well, put it on your time. Silly season now starts in January. I mean, that is a relationship, car owner-driver relationship that just didn't work for whatever reason. I'm sure they have their reasons, but it's tough to see a guy lose a ride after 4 races, but I'm not the one paying the bill, so it's not my call. No,
it's a very good point. And again, continue these questions coming in. We're going to give away a prize pack to the best question as here on the trusty iPad. We're checking these out. Brandon Flannery had a good question. I believe David Anderson, the driver of Gravedigger, Monster Jam backflip, he breaks his shoulder or whatever. My thoughts on that, it's amazing more of those guys don't break something. That is insane when you watch what those guys are doing, Chris.
Well, the technology, and I happened to go to not the Monster Jam, but the kind of lower division, the Toughest Truck Tour.
Which I love.
Yeah, and it was good. But the suspension technology to let those guys do that, and you watch the driver, they're not taking that big a beating until you get into the crazy stuff like Gravedigger.
It's amazing. It's amazing they can get those trucks to do that, but it is amazing they don't get injured more. So,
what would be more amazing to watch you try to get in one of those?
Well, here's my deal. Correct me if I'm wrong. You actually control the rear and the front wheels independently, correct? I can barely, my front wheel drive Fusion, I can barely drive it. That blows my mind that you're controlling 2 different sets of wheels.
But those curves you normally hit, you could go right over the top of.
Well, that is true. And I have wanted to monster truck some people. Michael Rigsby from Dirt on Dirt tuned in. Says he likes the host on the left, but the guy on the right, not sure about him. Can we possibly get a replacement?
Is that our
Watching from home, yeah. I'm going to be the one he wants replaced.
Yeah.
And,
I agree.
You know what, Rigsby? Not going to say it. Travis Siebert tuning in, and he's asking about 2017 driver safety and what positive position we may be in for our drivers. I think it's good that we're doing a lot of the things we're doing for the safety changes. I know some of them are tough. I found it interesting. I don't know if you saw Winchester Speedway, Potomac Speedway, and Delaware International. They put a statement out last week that they would not be having any more World of Outlaw Craftsman Late Model Series events because they weren't going to make their local drivers go buy these things they may or may not need. And, I definitely, respect them and their things. And I can see how it's both ways. It's tough. And every series is going through this. But I think what we have to ask ourselves, is this a sudden change? Or is this a change that should have been made 10 years ago and we haven't done it? And it's taken some fatalities and some other accidents to make us realize maybe we need to back up and see what we're doing.
Well, maybe I'll get up on the soapbox a little bit here. When it comes to driver safety, I don't know that you can be too forward thinking. I understand the cost implications. If you're racing a dirt late model and you're telling me you can't afford a fire extinguisher system, I've got a problem with that because you just came through the gate in a toter home with tires and all this nice equipment. You can afford fire extinguisher system. And come on, guys. I mean, you got one life, right? And if you do anything to harm yourself, you're going to live with that for the rest of your life. I would really encourage people to step up, and when it comes to the safety side of it, we can argue all day long about the competition side. That's a different ball of wax. But on the safety side, buy the equipment, take every precaution you can take. because it only takes one accident to change your life.
Yeah, that's the sad part. There was a guy that had never really raced. I remember this was about 8 years ago because we still had a dirt track in Memphis Motorsports Park. And he jumped in the car, was actually doing pretty good, wasn't wearing gloves. There's an oil fire, comes through the dash. He lost like 2 fingers off the left hand and like 3 off the right. And I have drivers all the time tell me, I don't like wearing gloves, I can't feel the car. And my response to that, well, you can't feel anything if you don't have fingers.
Yeah, and dirt racing by its very nature is working class people. So how are you gonna to get burned and then go to your job to pay your bills and take care of your family? So again, maybe I'm pretty strong on my opinion, but as a racer, that was one area that I would never cut corners because it only takes one accident.
And I understand the concerns about running racers off and things like that. I've had some conversations with some regional series. I think the reality is some of these regional series are going to have lower car counts to start the year because it's going to take a while. We'll see how it goes, but there's some other things on the other side. I know Vic Hill, we've talked about the Hans device, and he's talked to me about gloves, and Vic told me that both times he's been on fire is times that he flipped, and he said it took him, that those gloves, I guess, are rated to give you about 20 seconds. He said it took 10 to 15 seconds to get the gloves off before he could do anything else. Yeah. We did the feature on the detachable headrest. Mike Marler talked to me about the night that he flipped at Tyler County Speedway, and he was upside down for a few minutes. Fuel was running down, and they wouldn't flip him over because they were afraid they would hurt him. And he said, I couldn't get out of the car because of my headrest. And in my mind, I'm thinking, I'd rather burn up. I would rather take chance of getting a concussion or injure something and get out than burn up upside down in this race car. And obviously, you can imagine if that had happened after the Charlie Floyd incident, I can imagine how you lose your mind. So I do see both sides of it. Jimmy Mars has some real good opinions on it. Maybe this is going to be a good feature. I know Dirt on Dirt's working on a feature they did with Jimmy Mars out in Arizona about safety. Maybe for OneDirt, we'll get some from both sides as well. So
I understand every driver should do what they feel is the safest combination of gear. That's their right, and I encourage them to do that. Just don't ever let cost be the determining factor why you don't.
No, I agree. A couple of questions here. I want to hit Stephen Blakesley, and he asks, what's it going to take to get late models further out west in the Wild West Shootout? Well, they're out there in California. They run them out there in Bakersfield and Santa Maria and some of those things. But to get a Lucas Oil show out there, I'm going to be honest with you, that's sprint car country. And, you could get a full field out there. You would have right out a full field. Don't know if you could get the fans. And it's a long way. Another thing is you got to have tracks willing to take the risk, because for a series like Lucas to come out there, they need 4 or 5 events to justify going out there. And you're talking about 4 or 5 tracks willing to take a $50,000 to $60,000 chance. It's going to be tough when it's never been done. Now, they may do it, it may work perfectly, but I think that's the big holdup, Steven. When the World of Outlaw sprint cars come out there, you're going to pack the house. Sprint car country, you don't know what late models are going to get, so that's a challenge.
Yeah, it's the money side of the business, right? You can't ask racers to haul all the way out to California unless you string together, at least 3, maybe more events like the Arizona Mini Series. So I think that's the big part of it. You got to find enough tracks willing to bankroll and take that chance. The drivers love to race, and I don't know that they really care where they race as long as the payouts are really good.
Well, Dan Doherty's got a good question. Actually, was working on this story today before I came today. It'll be on OneDirt within the next week. Golden Isle Speedway. There's Super Bowl of racing with the Lucas Oil Late Model Dirt Series, the Southern Thunder Series, a couple other deals coming up. I believe it's February 10th and 11th. $10 grandstand admission on Friday, $15 on Saturday. And I talked today to Luke Voigt, and I flat out asked him, I said, boy, was this a typo? They're really trying to pack the place. They've got 2,800 seats installed from Daytona International Speedway they bought. Again, you got to love NASCAR tracks, getting rid of seats, dirt tracks, adding them. But $10 admission, $15. All I can tell you, if you have a chance to go pack this place, because this track is taking a giant chance. I mean, this is normally a $25 to $30 ticket. They're going 10 and 15, Chris.
I love it. It's a concept that's been used some in drag racing successfully, I might add. The low or no admission charge a little bit of a parking fee, and then try to make the money up off of the concessions and the things that people do once they're on site. It's risky. It doesn't work in every scenario, but I'm glad to see dirt racers or dirt track promoters actually trying some of that. I had a great conversation with Chris Ellis that runs the Comp Super Dirt Series, and it was a concept that we kind of batted around, and I don't think it'll work everywhere, but on those certain tracks that have a great following, it's a perfect way to introduce new blood into the sport. It's an affordable night out to where someone that just has an interest in seeing what dirt racing is all about can come out, bring their family, and not break the bank doing it. So I'm all for it.
No, it's very good. A couple questions here. Kyle Dawson asked, will we see West Plains at a national dirt tour? I can tell you they've been talking to both tours. There's been discussions with both. I would expect Gary Stolba and the staff to add one. I'm actually not going to let it happen until he changes the name back to West Plains Motor Speedway, though. As long as it's a legit speedway, it's West Plains. It's like, it's not Badlands Motor Speedway, it's Husets. Change it back to what it was. But all jokes aside, Gary's doing a great job up there. I think you're going to see it, but the one thing I can't stress enough, there's a lot of great regional tours in this region. You don't always have to have a national one to have a big show, and he's bringing in some more regional stuff, and I really like what Gary Stolba's doing. And Chris, it's really good to see, after the Gibsons, that place kind of bounced around a little bit, and it's good to see what Stolba's been able to do up there at West Plains.
Well, I know that's a track that's near and dear to your heart because it really was a foundation track early in your career of announcing. But it's nice to see them. It's nice to see them have a methodical approach, as you said, the regional tours, and don't overwhelm it. Too many people come into this sport and they go big and then they end up going home. And so I always appreciate when I see someone doing a real methodical kind of business approach on the trackside.
Absolutely. Stephen Blakesley comes back in our comment and he goes, well, Lucas is based in Southern California. Paris and Las Vegas would definitely support the event. Well, Stephen, promote it. I'll give you Rick Schwally's number. Text me. He will put it on all day. You get him 3 or 4 tracks out there. Going to be honest, though, I just don't think the fan base is there yet to have. And you're gonna need 4 or 5 shows. You're gonna need to go from I-80, Kosiski, I hope you're listening. We're gonna start there, Joe. We're gonna go to I-80. You need something in between, maybe in Arizona, and then you need 2 or 3 California. Then you need one on the way back. Right. You got to look. These guys out in the Midwest and the East, they're in high demand. They can run 4 nights a week. You can't tell them we're gonna go 2,500 miles to run, for the same 10 to 12,000 to win purse, and we're going to do it for 2 races, and the next week we need you back in Illinois. It's just not going to work. I would like to see it work, Stephen. I like the way you're thinking. I'd like to see it coast to coast. We're just not there yet with late model racing.
I want to jump in with a question from Jeff Wentworth, and he points out that not all late model drivers have toter homes.
That's correct.
I absolutely recognize that fact. Matter of fact, I'm a proponent of we should encourage people to use open trailers. I think we need the public seeing these race cars as they go up and down the road, because that's what gets people interested in the sport, brings new blood into it. You'll see a theme popping up here with some of my answers. I'm really a big proponent, and I think as a sport, we better get busy introducing new people.
No, I agree with that. And, shout out to one of our sponsors, Jones Racing Products. They want to do an award next year, an award or 2, at the OneDirt World Short Track Championships at the dirt track at Charlotte, for open trailer awards. Yeah. And there was a lot of open trailers there, if there was ever an event. But there were a lot of enclosed, but there were probably as many open trailers as I've seen in an event in a long time.
And I love that. I mean, it's a great approach, and it's just a different vibe when you roll in there. People see that car going up and down the road. So hats off to Jones on that. And a little plug for the World Short Track Championships will be coming up again in October, and we're pretty excited about 2 of that event.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to single out Jeremy Ray on this, and actually not single out, give credit. Several people have asked, and this is a good rebuttal to the safety issue with all the dirt late model issues. People ask us, they're like, and Billy Moyer Jr., he has a way of putting things on Twitter that get people's attention, good or bad. And he back when all these announcements came out, he said, glad to see safety changes being made. Now, how about we got to ask ourselves there, it's the cost. Are we all willing to pay $5 per pit pass per week to get a certified team? And there's some great teams out there, and it is a big concern. You have the best safety equipment in the world. I'm going to be honest, guys. I don't know what the answer is. What do you think, Chris?
Well, I love the concept of a traveling safety in the professional level. There's a lot of ways that I can think about to pay for it, whether it's the drivers through a points fund. What's it worth to those traveling drivers to know that they have a trained safety crew looking out for their livelihood and their life? What's that worth? I don't know. They'll have to answer that, but I think there's ways to pay for it, whether it's through sponsorship, equipment donations. It's the next logical step we need to look at.
What about your local track that never thinks of even having a regional or national show? They run a weekly show every week. They run 4 beginner classes. It's all they can do to open the gates every week. What is the answer there?
Yeah, I'm not sure that there is a good answer for that, other than they're going to have to work their local community and have trained firefighters and ambulances on site, people that will come out and donate their time, because the economics are just not there to have a fully staffed, trained crew. But something has to be done. Doing something is the right answer here. Sitting back and doing the things the same way, that's not an option.
No, we saw too much tragedy last year. Some of it could not be prevented. Some of it could have been. So that's what's happening, and it is a battle with local tracks. What do they do? And if they do something, and I know the racer, they're thinking, well, I've got this cost that I can't pass on to the track. Why would the track pass it on to me? And then there again, it gets down to dollars and cents. If the track is not making money, they're not going to stay open. There's a few I know that will, because they have people that love racing that got plenty of money. Unfortunately, those are far and few in between in our sport. We're getting great questions coming in. Continue to give them to us. We're still going to give away question of the show. Somebody's going to get a prize pack. We might have something else to give away. Why is there no return of the Buckeye Nationals at Atomic this season? By Kyle Dawson. Kyle, were you at that race last year? Because if you were, I was too, and there were not a whole lot of other people. What happened? That was a phenomenal show when Brad McCown and his staff came up with it. I love the idea of Atomic Speedway in Chillicothe, Ohio. I said, this thing's going to be huge. It's going to be massive. Weather was not necessarily in their favor. Weather took a nosedive after the first day. Drivers didn't support it as well as I think either. I think we were right there around 50 cars. It was good ones, don't get me wrong. But again, it goes back to making money in this business, and maybe we have so many specials. Again, it makes it harder to add specials, and I think that's why it's not back this year. I loved it. It was an entertaining race. You think Brandon Shepard's going to win. Then here comes Bloomquist, and Richards was up there. Davenport was up there. Entertaining race. But again, we get so many specials, and that one just had an ungodly purse. I mean, I think we're talking like $200,000 plus on that purse. Either it works or it doesn't. There's no middle ground on that, and so that's why you're not seeing it back this year. Maybe down the road, but again, you get there early May in Ohio, it could be 80 or it could be 8. And unfortunately, that second night, it was pretty chilly.
If every weekend is a special, do you really have specials anymore? That would be my point, and you know the details of that one, but I think we got to be careful that we don't try to make every weekend a special event, because then they all lose something.
Jason Womack wanted to know if we were answering Jeffrey Wentworth's questions, or if we were entering JG Wentworth. It's not JG Wentworth, and no cash now. So
Jason's still in the WWE Raw mode. I saw where he was there last night, so he's still thinking wrestling and entertainment.
All right, well, let's move on. We're going to come back to some more of your questions. Let's go to the soapbox.
You ready?
Shelton Soapbox Diaries. And again, this is a segment we do. It's going to start making its way to the website eventually. And it's going to be something where I throw something out there that kind of irritates me about the sport, and I'll whine about it. I'm going to encourage anybody watching this. This is open. I know I've got some people that are in the industry that are going to write some. There's some drivers. There's some track owners. Hey, fans, racers, if you want to write one, msrmafia@gmail.com, or you can send a message to the OneDirt Facebook page. It comes directly to me.
Or you can just hit that little angry face on Facebook. I would encourage that.
But I'm going to encourage it. This is somewhere we vent things that are on our chest. So I want to talk about the Wild West Shootout. Obviously, first 4 days went pretty well. Last 2 went to total crap, and there's no better way to put it. And like Chris said earlier, Michael Rigsby learned, 30% chance of rain in the desert is like nowhere else on earth apparently, because 30% chance means 30% of the day it will not rain. The other 70% it's probably going to. So we get there Saturday. We knew we were up against weather. We moved the start time up. The first thing I'm going to get to, and where I'm going with this whole soapbox deal is conspiracy theories in our sport, and people assuming that somebody's always the victim. And the point of a soapbox is sometimes crap happens, people. I don't know what else to tell you. It's not always planned out. It's not against somebody. I'm not saying sometimes people don't get done wrong, but the point of this is sometimes the sequence of events, Michael Rigsby and I were talking about it earlier, are just laughable at best. All you can do is laugh because it goes so terribly wrong you can't even make it up. We get there Saturday. I know we got a chance of rain. We're trying to move the show along. We moved the start time up an hour. Kevin Montgomery opens up the track as he'd done the other 4 days to start to prep it. We get to a driver's meeting. The sun is shining and it is raining. This is all you need to know on how this day is going to go. There's people with sunglasses that need windshield wipers because it's raining. It stops. We get a little bit closer to time starting. The cars haven't come out to start rolling the track in. And then you can just see showers start popping up all around us. Next thing you know, we get a pretty solid rain. We get 10 or 15 minutes. It subsides. We let the track sit a little bit. We call the cars out. Major shout out to the X mods and the mods. There were a few late models, but it was mainly the X mods and the mods. They come out there. They pack this thing for a good 20 to 30 minutes. Dustin, Jared, and I are in filling mode like crazy. We get it sealed in. I'm going to say we're probably about 10 minutes away from hot lapping. Boom, here it comes again. We get the cars off the track. Rain's off and on. Keep working with it. It rained no less than a half dozen times. Sometimes for not more than a minute or two. The heaviest rains came while the sun was out, which I'm going to say now, maybe the biggest kick in the nuts in racing is the sun to be out and it's coming a flood. So we do that. They keep working with it. We think we can get it back. He's out there working it. It's not getting any better. Make the decision to pull the plug on Saturday night. Just as we do, it starts raining again. So, okay, we're going to do a doubleheader on Sunday. Sunday's weather looks bad. It's only a 30% chance of rain. Here we go. All right, so we move to Sunday. Sunday morning, get up. It's rained half the night. Can't run the morning show. It's canceled. But we're going to run this afternoon. It's going to be good. Montgomery lets the track set. And I'll put Montgomery right there with Kevin Gundaker, Johnny Stokes, the folks up at Falls, Eldor, some of the best track people in the business. He goes out there. Grader goes up to the axles, buries down. We're getting ready to leave the house, the Dirt on Dirt compound, and Michael Rigsby comes out the back, and I thought he was jacking with me. He goes, "You're not going to believe this. We can't race. It's done." We're like, "You got to be kidding me." So it's done. So immediately the rumors start. This is staged. They don't want to pay the bonus. They don't want to do this. So here's where I'll lay out the fact on what happened. We... By not racing Saturday, one reason we were pushing so hard Saturday, not only did Bobby Pierce have a shot at that bonus, we'd sold so many tickets and pay-per-views, we were so far into the green, we wanted to race. That's why I got put Sunday morning. By not racing, I lost money. Michael Rigsby Dirt on Dirt lost money. The promoters stood that weekend with the ticket sales they had and what they had to double what they had made for the week. Bobby Pierce stood to make $100,000. By the way, the people sponsoring his bonus that everybody said we didn't want to pay, two things. One, the bonus premium was paid. That money's there. For PR for the sport and our event, we wanted that bonus money, whether it be $50, $100, or $250. We wanted it paid.
To clarify, it was an insurance policy.
Insurance policy.
It was paid.
Completely paid by Kaiser Manufacturing. By the way, they sponsor the bonus policy. They sponsor Bobby Pierce. Why would they sabotage it? So basically, by not racing, Bobby Pierce obviously lost money, and don't get me wrong, I think he was at least going to get 50. He was dominant out there. It was going to take something crazy, mechanical failure. He was going to get 50, very possibly 100. Bobby had every reason to be pissed off. He lost the chance at 100. Fans, I understand being upset. We lost the chance at history. Nobody did this on purpose, though. Like I said, everybody that you accuse of conspiring to do this, one of Bobby's sponsors, who had already paid the money to have the bonus, they wanted that paid regardless. Two, the event people. They lost half their profit on the week by not having the event. Three, the pay-per-view people. They're still doing refunds right now. And fourth, the lonely announcer, who if we don't race, I don't get paid. So basically, the answer is everybody lost money by not racing. Now, some people say, okay, well, why didn't we run Monday? There's no rain date advertised. Everybody's logistics had them flying out Monday. Some of the racers would have stayed. Clearly, Bobby would have stayed. If I was Bobby, I'd still be there today. Sure. I'm trying to get 100. Hey, Bob, and again, I think he would have got at least the 50. It wasn't an option. We couldn't move it to Monday to Tuesday. And this track's a little bit different. We had curfews out there. I don't know where these houses are, but I can tell you that they were watching us anytime we ran at night for these curfews. I think on the weekends, I think it was 10:30 or 11. I think during the week it's like 9 o'clock or whatever. We'd about had to run that show during the day. These people, there's going to be nobody there. The event, it just wasn't working. That's why there's no rain dates for this event. So, did it suck? It sucked so bad. Does it suck for Bobby? I hate it for Bobby with 1,000 of fire hells because it just bad circumstances. It was bad, but everything was bad. Nothing. I will put my hand on a Bible here right now. Nothing was planned to do anybody wrong. So again, all these rumors out there, all this gossip. We go back to last year. Jonathan Davenport's one of my friends. I like Jonathan a lot. A lot of people said Jonathan got screwed. One night he ended up winning 3 of the races. One night he didn't go to the scales after his heat. Mm-hmm. Got DQ'd, had to throw on the back of a B main. One night Don O'Neill won, he had different cell panels on there. That was a mistake, and that's the one thing I want to point out. Any mistake that's been made with this event, they brought in a tech crew this year specifically because of that. They blew it. Chris Kearns admitted it last year. I screwed up on tech. I had too much going on. I missed teching that car that had that on there. Hey, that's a mistake. But again, last year, nobody wanted to take that away from Jonathan Davenport. It's a long way to Arizona. We want guys to want to come out there. So anyway, I say all that to say this. It's not always a conspiracy theory. There's not always a victim. Sometimes, I'm going to say it again, shit happens. It happens. You don't mean for it to. You don't want it to. I hate it for Bobby. Bobby had an amazing year last year. I feel bad for him that's got to race with him this year because he's starting out faster this year than he did last year. There again, through the grapevine, hear rumors. You may see Bobby back there again next year. I think as cooler heads start to prevail, people realize, like I said, I'm part of the event. People can say he's being a homer. I lost money. I wanted to race. Would I have stayed to Tuesday? Hell yeah, I would have stayed to Tuesday. Everybody else would have lost money, though. So that's kind of the long and the short of it. And, just kind of laying it out there.
That's life. Life doesn't always work out. Racing certainly doesn't always work out the way everybody wants it. Great event. I would hate to see people stay home and not support that event because of this. I think that would do nothing other than harm racing. We need that event. We need it to be healthy. It's just the way it goes. Get over it.
Well, and again, everybody's entitled to their opinion, but what I just laid to you was 110% facts. If I was in a court of law right now, I would have just said the exact same stuff to you. It's the truth, and that's all I want to say. I didn't get on the message boards and state my fact. I've tried to stay away from social media as much as possible because I don't want to get in arguments, and again, people are passionate, but I can tell you, the only person that intentionally screwed anybody this weekend was Mother Nature. So if you want to take it out on her, but again, we weren't 30% chance of rain in the desert. It's a lot more to be concerned about. It sucks. It is what it is.
I'm mad. I had my popcorn, my bowl of popcorn. I was ready to watch some racing.
Was Bobby Pierce good? Was he going to win at least one of those bonuses?
Absolutely. I mean, the kid is on fire right now, and hats off to the whole crew, his dad and his sister, because they've got it going on.
No, they do. I look at what Bob and Angie and Sierra and they're busting butts, and it's disheartening. You tow out there a couple thousand miles and you don't get it. And I know they're heartbroken. And our sport could have used that publicity. That would have been huge for. That's how we get people that don't only pay attention to us when somebody dies or they get caught selling drugs. That's when those people come and pay attention because they're like, "Whoa, somebody just won like $100,000 bonus or 200 or even 50." I mean, and that's a season changer.
And who knows? We might have even seen a crotch chop had he won that.
Well, we saw one. He gave us a crotch chop earlier. He won in Victory Lane. We got a mini crotch chop
with pistols.
So that's kind of what it is. Like I said, that you can read whatever. I was in the middle of it. Michael Rigsby was in the middle of it, and we went out there, and this event's part of our livelihood. We plan on making money. We made a lot less out there than what we normally make. It's part of the risk you take. That's again, we're not the Chili Bowl. We're not the Gateway Dirt Nationals. We're not inside. We're at the mercy. The other thing to note on Sunday, I know some people said they didn't even try to get it ready. Again, the greater Axle Deep. Okay, you can say, well, they should have sat there a few hours. At 4 o'clock, it started raining. It rained off and on through 9 o'clock that night that I know of because I went to bed because I was just mentally done. I get up to go to the airport the next morning as I'm waiting on my Uber to pick me up 10 miles from the track to take me to the airport at 5 a.m. Still sprinkling. I don't know that we could have run on Monday. It was a moot point because we didn't try.
Right.
I don't know that we could have. So take it for what it is. That's what we've all got. So let's go back to questions here. Said,
are you ready? I mean,
I'm
you
ready
get that
for
out
it.
of your system?
No, I'm good.
Worked up there.
I feel better. It's passionate because it goes back to our thing that in racing, that nobody can hurt us worse than we hurt ourselves.
Yeah.
And when we sit there and we run ourselves into the ground and we say that we're out to screw each other, if I'm a sponsor and I'm seeing that, I don't want to help anybody. I don't care if it's a team, a track, if it's a Wild West shootout, if it's the I got a question about the North-South 100. Somebody's asking about that. So that's pretty much what I got. But it is very passionate because I do love the event. I do love dirt track racing. I think it's very special. I had so many people come up to me that live out there that came up after and they're like, man, this sucks, but I can't wait to have you guys back next year because this is our chance to see these guys. Heard from Brandon Shepard. Brandon told us, he said, watch the event. I will be there next year. So for anybody saying the event's dead, nobody's going back, talk to Billy Moyer. He'll be back. Jimmy Mars, all those guys coming back. It's too cool an event. And there's a lot of potential. We've got a lot to learn still about the facility, some improvements to be made, as with anything. But I guess right now, if you want the Wild West shootout to die, I'm gonna hurt your feelings. It's not going anywhere. It's gonna stick around. And again, I always say a mistake isn't a problem until you make it a second time.
Yeah.
We're all gonna make mistakes. It's when you let it happen again. So we'll see how it evolves.
The event will be fine, and it's just tough circumstances. Let's talk about something positive. What are you looking forward to in the next couple of months? Obviously, you got speed weeks coming up. There's a lot of stuff going on right now, kind of the moving and shaking behind the scenes. What are you looking forward to? I'm
looking forward to speed weeks this year. I think, there again, reference Michael Rigsby with Dirt on Dirt. We do our driver's list for all this stuff, and we start on our speed weeks list out in Arizona. I think the car counts are going to be up at every event this year. I mean, from Golden Isles to East Bay to Volusia to Ocala, I think they're going to be up. And talking to drivers and modifieds and sprint cars, I think that's going to be true across the board. man, I feel like racing's going to be strong this year, Chris. I think we're going to see it at Speed Weeks.
So if a person can only go to one event during Speed
Oh, why are you doing this to me?
Which track are you sending them to have the chance of seeing the best racing?
Oh boy.
Yeah, you're on the hot seat.
All right. Well, I'm gonna say right now. I think right now Volusia is a must see down there. I think Volusia's got it going on. And the thing about going is in a 12-day stretch, 11-day stretch, you can see sprint cars, late models, big block modifieds. You can see UMP modifieds. But I gotta say, just for the insanity of the ticket prices at Golden Isles, it's a good track. They made a lot of improvements. You gotta go support Golden Isles. You're about a $10 ticket to see a 10,000 to win late model race.
So really cool. And there's a lot of good tracks. There's a lot of stuff going on down there. Different types of racing. You can almost pick one based on your preference, whether you want to see high speed, short, bull ring. There's a little bit of everything going on.
It is, and unique tracks. It's hard to pass up Bubba Raceway Park down at Ocala because
just the Bubba factor.
Well,
right?
You never know what Bubba's going to do. I mean, he's going to go out in the water truck every time before that feature rolls out, and he's not going to tell the series director. That's the funniest part to watch. But just the shape of it. It's a 3/8 mile on one end. It's a 1/4 mile on the other as far as the turns, and if you're good on one end, you're going to suck on the other. So it's fun. But any of those. But I'm going to say for pure something for everybody, Volusia.
No, I think Speed Weeks is going to be great. I'm looking forward to the season in general. Everywhere I go, whether it's the PRI trade show, some of these wintertime events, people are excited.
Yeah.
It's nice to sense that excitement again. I think people are optimistic about the economy and a lot of stuff going on with the country. So I'm expecting a really good year ahead, and I think you're going to see events really start to have some success again.
No, I think so. I think it's going to be a good year for racing if we use our heads. We got to be smart about it, and I think it's going to be good. Tracks not work against each other. I'm already seeing some signs of it, and it's driving me insane. And along the lines of successful events, shout out down there to Preacher and the group down at Ice Bowl. They had a great turnout. Jerry Cecil reminded me they had 334 cars in 7 classes, and of course the Chili Bowl had 365 in 1. So that's more testament to just the Chili Bowl. What a freak show it is just to have that big a turnout for one class. But they had a good turnout. Only in Alabama can you have a winter storm the week before, and then everybody got sunburned this weekend because it was like 78. So.
I know it. I saw pictures of the track, a lot of rubber down, the temperatures were up, and I'm certain they had great racing down there. What a cool event. I mean, that thing has been going on for many, many years. I remember, when I was much younger hearing about it. They just they're methodical, as I used that word earlier. They go about their business, they put on great races. Have a lot of respect for what they do down there.
Somebody asked why we didn't mention the super late models at New Smyrna. It's asphalt, that's all. It's an entertaining track, but we're encouraging people to go to dirt tracks.
Absolutely. This is OneDirt, right?
This is OneDirt, not one asphalt, OneDirt. So good question, but that's why. Yeah. Somebody wants to know why none of the World of Outlaw drivers, with the exception of in the past, McCready when he was with the Outlaws and Josh Richards occasionally, don't go to the North-South 100. Well, they didn't go last year because they had races. They had races on top of it. The big reason, though, I'm going to be honest, is just these schedules. And looking at these schedules this year, the Outlaws are right around 50 events. I think Lucas is 55, 56. A lot of times these guys, they get off, and they want to be home. And the North-South comes right after Cedar Lake. And usually by the time Cedar Lake's done, the Outlaws have been doing that Western Tour and everything else. And some of those teams have been on the road for a month or two. Yep. They're ready to go have a weekend off. They didn't get that much.
Out of equipment, out of patience, and ready for some family.
A lot of times out of crew members because they've either killed the crew member or the crew member has quit. So that's a big part of it. But that's a big reason you don't see as many at the North-South. And then last year, the way the schedule fell, the Outlaw guys, no rest for the wicked, they had to turn around and go straight to Delaware and Virginia and Maryland. So that's why you don't see that. That's a good question there.
I've got a question for you. Back to the Chili Bowl. Who do you want to see show up at that event next year? If you had a total wish and could see any racer of any type show up and try their hand, who would it be?
I can't wait to see Davenport back at it next year. He tweeted out he'd learned a lot after the first night. He's ready to go now, so I can't wait to see Jonathan back next year. A guy that has not been, again, I'm a late model guy. Man, I would love to see Josh Richards go out there. Kind of a go for broke kind of guy. I think he'd be entertaining. Bloomquist was there watching this year. I don't know if we can get Scott in one of those cars. I'm going to be honest with you because I looked at Jonathan. Jonathan filled that thing up. Jonathan even said he's going to lose some weight before next year. But I'd kind of like to see Josh Richards get in one of those.
I'm going to go a totally different direction.
Yeah.
Drag racing. Antron Brand.
Oh, Antron.
Antron, if you're watching, AJ Ware, his marketing guy, next year we've got to make it happen. TRD's involved in those things. Seems like a perfect fit to me. Antron, I want to see you out there next year.
Hey, and Antron, he's a big OneDirt supporter. He drove a
Yes.
Larry Shaw modified a few years ago, and man, I'd say one of the coolest guys you'll meet in motorsports, Antron Brown.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And then part two of that is perhaps we start right here today. Your campaign to get in a midget, just like Ross did out there next year.
I gotta go to the Wild West shootout, or I would. But maybe on an off night we need to set up a media race.
Maybe.
Ross Weiss, I challenge you. Open red versus caution to the wind. Battle of the online shows. Let's do it, buddy. I can't. Weiss would smoke me.
Yeah, well, he's here now. He's a pro.
He knows what it's like to get upside down.
Been upside down. I've been upside down in Tulsa in that building. You're the only one. Odd man out.
I'll just flip out his chair when the show's over. We'll call it even. Looking at a few more questions here. What's going on with Mike Duvall? Velton Smith asks, boy,
Flintstone Flyer.
That's a real good one, man. You gotta love. He's as old school gets.
Yeah.
I love it.
Billy Carroll says a midget in a midget, referring back to you at Tulsa.
That is true. It would be a midget in a midget. Kyle Dawson asked why the Outlaw schedule on Lucas' biggest races like the Show Me, the North South, and the Topless. Well, they weren't going to be on the Topless this year, I don't think. I think they were off the Topless this year because they were on the North South. My answer to that, you got two tours trying to run 50-plus races. There's only so many weekends in a year, and their teams are running for money. And, just like the Lucas teams get show up for their money for their races, the Outlaw teams get show up money. And if you got somebody wanting races that weekend within reason, you can't take them all off. So it's a tough one. I would love to see all Crown Jewels not scheduled against, but I'd also like to see, whether it's the Outlaws or Lucas, I'd like to see all Crown Jewels not sanctioned either.
Right.
I'm very passionate about Crown Jewels. I say 0 provisionals in a Crown Jewel. Should Rico Abreu have had a provisional in the Chili Bowl, Chris Douglas?
No.
I agree. What if he had won that? Does it not cheapen it?
Absolutely. And, there was some question out there whether they were going to put Sammy in at the back of the pack. I just don't think when you have a marquee event like that, a crown jewel, as you use the term, no provisionals. You race your way into it. The guy who wins the thing, he earns it every time.
Somebody asked, can the North-South 100, we're all over the North-South 100, can it break 75 to 80 cars? God, I have slept since then, but wasn't it this year or last year it was over 80? I think that event's about a lock to break 80. And I love that format. Shout out to Josh King. I love the double heat race format. It's fan-friendly. Racers might not always like it, but I love that. I feel like it's been in that upper 70s, right at 8 range. So yeah, I if it has not, I think it can. I think weather plays a lot, and a lot of money on the line there. So
and I'm gonna go out on a limb here as far as a trend in the year ahead. You're going to see more promoters trying unique formats. You're getting ready to see this announced in NASCAR, to where they're going to start playing around with the race format.
And they need to.
And they need to break it up. You're going to see that trickle down to dirt racing too, to where guys try different formats, and some will work and some will be epic failures, but we're just going to have to kind of roll with it.
Let's look and see if we got a few more questions here. As they've been. I imagine the hate mail hasn't come in as bad on my soapbox.
We've got a Falls homer here that's asking about the environment, and I know you and Rigsby, a lot of other people just rave about that. I'm going to get up there this year and see it with my own eyes.
You got to go to Falls. It's phenomenal. It's a great track. It's one of the many great tracks in our country, and there again, the fans get behind it and they love it. I've said it before. I'll say it again. One of the cool things about Fairbury is pretty much everybody there, from the guy cooking the hamburgers to the lady taking your tickets to the guy waving the green and checkered flags. They're volunteers. They love their track. They come out there. I see so many tracks where it's, what can the track do for us? What can they look at it and they go, this is our home. This is where we play. This is where we take our families on Saturday night. This is ours. And they take ownership of it. And that's one of the reasons I love it so much. Everybody's like, oh, you're a homer, you're a Fairbury homer. I am. I love the racing and I love the atmosphere. They got, Mike on the mic, Mike Norris, he gets the crowd fired up, does a great job, and just everybody, but it's all volunteers. They have a light go out during the week. The electric company sends, the electric companies there in town, they send somebody out there to replace it. They do it for free. Not everybody's trying to nickel and dime them. And they put the money back in. They put major money back in this year. I believe new catch fences. They're working on getting that new VIP box up in the area, new pit seating, all kinds of stuff happening at Falls. The money goes back in. And, I'm going to be realistic here. That doesn't always work on fair board-owned racetracks. It works at that one, though. So Matt Curl has done a great job. Gunnar Sullivan, he's stepped away for this year, but Gunnar's done a lot for him. If we had more tracks where the track and the drivers were more worried about the greater good instead of the track just making money or the drivers just getting their money, we might all be a lot better off.
Absolutely. I thought we went back into the soapbox here for a second, but they do a great job up there. Somebody just pointed out here a couple of things. Number one, we need to mention Lanny Edwards. This was the first Chili Bowl without Lanny with us, and just a real tip of the hat to what Lanny built there along with Emmett Hahn over the years. The second part is someone asked about Tony Stewart's schedule. It came out during the Chili Bowl week.
Yep.
70 plus events I think Tony's going to run
Yeah.
at a dirt track near you. I'm hoping that that'll end up being a real plus for some local dirt tracks. People will come out to see Tony and kind of get some energy going again at some of these tracks. So Tony's going to race whatever Tony can get in. I think you'll see him in everything from a mini kart all the way up through full-blown sprint cars.
Yeah, it's going to be entertaining to see. A couple more questions here before we get ready to wrap this one up. Somebody asked what it takes to run a World of Outlaws Sprint Car Series team for the full year. 15 years, no, I'm getting old. About 20 years ago, I read a story where Carl Kinzer said you could run, this is 20 years ago, you could run the full World of Outlaws tour for about $300,000, or you could be competitive and spend about $750,000.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to go out there, and I hope someone corrects me if they have the real numbers, but I'm going to say to do it competitive, you need between $750,000 and $1 million to do it today competitive. If anyone has the real number, be sure that you add it to the live stream because we would like to know.
Absolutely. Also want to throw out there thoughts and prayers to the Wayne Burns family. Wayne passed away, and I probably had some of my most heated debates at a racetrack with Wayne Burns. He was that kind of guy, but Wayne did a lot for racing. He had Thunder Hill Raceway over in Warrensburg, Tennessee for several years. He worked at North Alabama, most recently at Moulton Speedway, and Wayne passed away. And that's a very real problem in our sport. A lot of these old cagey guys that have kept the sport going for a long time, they're either passing away or they're getting out of it, and that's going to be a concern as we go along. Who's going to pick up the torch and carry on? The drivers I'm not worried about. There's a ton of young talent, but guys that are willing to go take an ass chewing to run a racetrack every Saturday night to maybe make or lose $1,000, that's the things we got to start looking for.
When's the last time you heard a young person say, I can't wait to grow up to be a track promoter? And that's what you speak of, is that who's going to fill the shoes of some of these older guys as they either retire out of the sport or, unfortunately, some of them are passing away. And I think it's a real problem. It's a thankless job. You work all the time. You maybe make a little money if all the stars line up, but you're not getting rich promoting races. So I think that's something we're going to have to keep our eye on and certainly encourage people to take that step.
Kyle Dawson, and you're going to be our winner for the question here. We're going to prize back Kyle Dawson. He's going to talk about hitting up some of the Southern Spring Nationals events and which tracks. And that whole series Ray Cook has put together with Schaefer's Oil is really one of the most entertaining series in the country. I think it still flies under the radar. It's always kind of a different experience. I'll be down there for Speed Weeks, another great Speed Weeks track, Screven Motor Speedway down in Sylvania, Georgia. It's an interesting joint. When you go there for Speed Weeks, it's like going to an 8-ring circus because during the course of the day, Red Griffin, who has the biggest concession stand in the world, during the course of the day, you're going to have go-karts racing and enduro happening, mud drags, the paved drag is going to be going. If he can find something else to race, it's going to be happening. And then at night, all the focus shifts to the dirt track, but a very unique shaped racetrack. I always enjoy Screven. Never been to Wythe Raceway up in Rural Retreat, Virginia. A lot of respect for them, though. It's a big paper-clipped oval. I'm not always a big fan of the big half miles. Puts on some good racing, though. It's got better, and they really started throwing some money. They had a deal last year, Chris. They started every car that showed up.
Wow.
So, and they're putting big money out there. So that's a couple that comes to mind. One I want to get to, Ray Cook's Racetrack, which I understand can be easier to get to via an airplane or helicopter than by cars. Tri-County Racetrack in Brasstown, North Carolina. And everybody says that's the Falls of the South. That's the Fairbury of the South. So that's a few that come to mind. And don't get me wrong, the Smoky Mountains, of course, Tazewell for just the freaky fast nature. All those are good ones. That's some, if you were looking at, that I would hit up.
Yeah, all great events. Ray's done a great job with that mini series and this track that he's got. I think you just answered my question too about where did the future promoters come from?
Racers.
They're racers. They're racers that retire out and they move on to promoting events.
No, I think they do. And there's some other guys looking at stuff you're going to hear pretty soon. Good to hear. They're getting Cody Summer from the OneDirt Nationals. He's opening up Mansfield Motor Speedway, fantastic facility, and it's going back to its roots. It was dirt before it was paved. And, of course, people forget the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series went there for a few times, big crowds. It's going to reopen. He's heading that up. I think that's going to be a tough one. I'm not going to lie. Cody's going to have his hands full on that one. There's so many good tracks in Ohio. I hope people really get out and support him, but I think that's going to be a tall order to make that work. But if anybody can, there again, I think he can.
I'm not betting against Cody. After what he showed me at Gateway, I'm on board, and until he proves otherwise, I'm on the Cody bandwagon.
Well, we get ready to wrap up here, and again, congrats, Kyle Dawson. You're going to get our gift pack. We usually are going to do this show. It's going to be monthly. I know we've had people saying, let's do this weekly. I'm going to delete it before this guy sees because he wants to do it more often.
It depends on how much you're willing to sponsor. I mean, if we could get a big sponsor, maybe I'd talk him into it.
We got to get a sponsor here. I thought that we had Rockstar Energy Drink after the last one. Turned out they were going to give us product, but not money. We got to eat. That's why I quit growing. 8 years old. I can't afford to eat, so I got to afford to eat.
We made a rule: no more energy drinks because he already talks fast enough. So I'm not sure I want him talking any faster.
So this show is going to be the third week of every month, except next month because I'm going to be in Speed Week. So February 8th, mark your calendar. Same bat time, same bat channel. It's going to be Wednesday, February 8th, 2 p.m. Central Standard Time. We're going to be live here to be the third edition of Caution to the Wind. We're going to do our best to make it the third Wednesday of every month. Continue to give us input, and even if your input is you guys suck, we know we suck, but continue to tell us that. If you don't agree with what we say, we love it. We love the questions today. Again, I've got my soapbox diaries. That's going to start debuting on the website. If you got something where you really got a beef with racing, and your beef just can't be blank Speedway sucks.
Right.
You gotta
give us some substance.
Give us some substance to back it up. If you don't agree with things I've said that Christopher said, that's great. We live in America. That's what's beautiful about it. Give us your thoughts, but that's going to be a segment. We've already got people like Elliot Aldrich that writes on the website. OneDirt is truly a place where the voice of the media, the racers, the fans, the racetracks, we don't turn anybody down. If you want to write something within reason, without too many obscenities, we welcome it. We're going to use it. Again, this is your outlet to say what you want to say. And if you want to put your money where your mouth is and write us something, I will be glad to post that. So again, you can instant message us right here on the OneDirt page. You can hit me up, msrmafia@gmail.com. That will get to us, and we're always looking for new and interesting viewpoints because we want every angle, Chris.
And it's all forms dirt. I mean,
yes.
If the show shows you anything, I hope we're willing to talk about anything that's dirt racing. We want to hear from you as far as what forms of the sports you want us to cover. It doesn't matter if it's bicycle racing, go-kart racing. If it races on dirt, it falls under the OneDirt banner.
We talked about Gravedigger today.
That's right.
I mean, that's all you need to know. Gravedigger, a little off-road racing, a little AMA motocross. Look, we're big racing fans. We love it all. And if we don't know what you ask about, we will make something up and act like we know what we are talking about.
And Gravedigger is coming to Memphis, I think, in February. If you're in town, there's going to be video. I'm going to get... the video is you trying to get in it first. And then perhaps maybe a ride.
It's going to be complicated. It's going to be complicated.
So stay tuned for that.
Well, again, thanks everybody for tuning in. We went about an hour 15 today. Like I said, no set length, hour 15. Thanks so much for your support of this show for OneDirt. Continue to tag us on Instagram, on Twitter, here on Facebook, all your stuff. We're always sharing stuff on the website and social media we get tagged in. So if you got cool pictures, whatever, hit us up with it. If there are things you want to see, let us know. Again, for myself, Ben Shelton, Chris Douglas, you just watched episode 2 of Caution to the Wind Live, OneDirt on Facebook Live.